Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first let's talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, where during the previous 12 hours the Russians continued attacking the capital of Ukraine, the city of Kyiv. Not just the city of Kyiv was attacked, but once again the biggest number of missiles were recorded right exactly in this area. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine reported this morning that during the night between the 21st and the 22nd of August of 2026, the Russians used ballistic missiles, but the Minister of Defense of Ukraine hasn't provided the number, but the sources reported that there were up to 7 ballistic missiles. There were 3 air-launched missiles of Ha-59-69 types, and the Russians used Banderol munitions, and the Russians used 217 drones, including more than 50 jet-powered. The sources reported that the Ukrainians managed to intercept and to destroy around 190 air vehicles, but at the same time the Russians managed to deal significant damage. And this morning we start receiving first updates on this matter. The sources reported that the Russians during the previous 12 hours attacked the Kyiv power station number 6. This is a very important situation, but because this is the second strike since the beginning of August on object of energy infrastructure. Several days ago, for example, the sources reported that the Russians attacked the power station number 4, which is located through the eastern parts of the city of Kyiv, and this information was confirmed 3 days ago by the mayor of Kyiv, Klitschko. He said that between the 20th and the 21st of August of 2026, he said that in the afternoon a critical infrastructure facility in the capital was deliberately attacked for the first time in several months, and we see that the Russians continued this process and they attacked another object of energy infrastructure, this time in the northeastern parts of the city of Kyiv. This is the power station number 6. Furthermore, the Russians attacked a depot, Locomotive depot, in the eastern parts of the city of Kyiv. This information was confirmed by the Minister of Defense. They stated that the Darnytsia Locomotive depot, a key facility of the southwestern railway of Ukraine, where maintenance and repairs were carried out on the locomotive fleet transporting weapons and military equipment for the Ukrainian armed forces. So this facility was also badly damaged by Russians. And we have a video. In this video we can see how the Russians were attacking the capital of Ukraine, the city of Kyiv, with ballistic missiles. The ballistic strike took place somewhere between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. of the 22nd of August of 2026. And this morning a lot of fire anomalies were recorded through this area. For example, in these pictures we can see fire anomalies through the locomotive depot in the eastern parts of the city of Kyiv, and these fire anomalies are very huge, which means that the Russians managed to deal significant damage, and the Russians once again dealt big damage to the Ukraine's logistics. Furthermore, the Russians continued attacking the city of Kyiv this morning. During this morning we received a lot of reports that the Russians launched up to additional 7 Iskander missiles in the direction of the city of Kyiv, and this morning the explosions were recorded through the area between the cities of Brovary and Boryspil. The sources reported that most likely the Russians attacked another warehouse or another mall, and as a result of attack this facility was also reduced to ruins. So the situation is critical for Ukraine through the city of Kyiv, and the situation continued deteriorating. But as for the morning attack between the 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. of the 22nd of August of 2026, these attacks with these 7 Iskander missiles was something like retaliation, because today the Ukrainians between the 21st and the 22nd of August also attacked the territory of Russia. The most important thing is that the Russians today celebrate the day of the Russian flag. So probably this is the reason why the Ukrainians carried out a massive attack deep inside of the territory of Russia using hundreds of drones. Yesterday in the evening, pro-Ukrainian sources published a map where we can see the approximate routes of drones attacks deep inside of the territory of Russia. The Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation this morning reported that during the night the Russians managed to intercept and to destroy 457 air vehicles. Yesterday during the day the Russians destroyed another additional 211. So summarizing everything, between the 22nd and the 21st of August of 2026, the Ukrainians used around 700 of drones and jet-powered drones with the purpose to attack the Samara region. And during the night and this morning we received lots of updates on this matter. The sources reported that the Ukrainians were attacking two targets in the area of the city of Samara, the Novokuybyshevsk oil refinery. So this territory was attacked by the armed forces of Ukraine, and this morning we received this video where we can see a fire broke out this night right after the Ukrainians attacked the territory of this facility. As of the morning of the 22nd of August of 2026, we don't know for sure whether the Ukrainians managed to deal significant damage to this facility or not, but the Novokuybyshevsk oil refinery wasn't the main target for the Ukrainians. The main target for the Ukrainians was a warehouse in the area of the settlement by the name of Chapayevsk. So this facility was reduced to ruins as a result of the overnight attack. And in this video we can see a Ukrainian drone somewhere around at 4 or 5 a.m. of the local time flying in the direction of this facility that was already badly damaged by the armed forces of Ukraine. According to this video, we see that this warehouse was destroyed completely without any chances to repair it or to restore it. So as you can see, the logistics war continues between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. And right after this attack ended, right after the Ukrainians destroyed this warehouse, the Russians struck back and they attacked the city of Kyiv. As of the moment when I started making this video, we still haven't received updates, videos about the object that the Russians attacked in the area of the city of Kyiv. But if we take a look at the cities of Boryspil and Brovary, we will see many warehouses, many possible positions and territories that the Russians could attack. So that is why during the upcoming 12 hours, most likely we will receive additional updates and we will color another object of logistics in the black color. Another important thing is that the city of Kyiv wasn't the only city that the Russians attacked during the night. Explosions were also recorded through the city of Chernihiv. As for the city of Chernihiv, this morning we received a very interesting video, and here we have exclusive footage that was published by pro-Ukrainian sources, and here we can see the first 5th generation Geran jet-powered drone over the Chernihiv region. Since the beginning of the conflict, probably 5 or 6 videos were published with this type of weapon, and today we see that the Russians began using this type of weapon much often in comparison with previous periods. So the Russians still haven't managed to use massively the Geran drones of the 4th generation, and they started using the Geran drones of 5th generation. The Russians during the previous nights were attacking railway infrastructure of the city of Chernihiv and Chernihiv region. The sources reported that a very big fire anomaly was recorded in the area of the settlement of Vokzal-Gorodnya through the most northern parts of Chernihiv region, and this is not the first time when the Russians attack railway infrastructure along the border between Russia and Ukraine. It seems that right now the Ukrainians are bringing something in the area of the Russia-Ukrainian border, and they're bringing more and more weapons, arms. Maybe the Ukrainians are preparing themselves before something big. Furthermore, the Russians were attacking the Odesa region. During the previous 12 hours, lots of explosions were recorded through this area. Just during the previous video, we discussed that the Russians shift their focus along the border between the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine. The Russians were attacking checkpoints between these two states, and during the night, the Russians were attacking the export infrastructure around the settlement of Chernomorsk, and we have fire anomalies in this area. As you can see, the Russians most likely were attacking these facilities, these export facilities. Probably the Russians managed to deal significant damage. Another fire anomaly was recorded to the north of this area. Somewhere in this, among these buildings, something was hit, and we have a video where we can see how exactly the Russians were attacking the city of Odesa during the previous 12 hours. And according to this video, we can see that an object of energy infrastructure was badly damaged. Furthermore, lots of explosions were recorded to the north north of the city of Odesa along railways. A railway infrastructure was destroyed and damaged, probably around the settlement of Razdolne. Probably the Russians were attacking locomotives, and railway infrastructure was damaged around the settlement by the name of Takarovka. In this video we can see a building that was completely wiped out by Russians as a result of the overnight attack. Furthermore, during the previous 12 hours, the Russians were attacking the Dnipro region and the Zaporizhzhia. Yesterday in the evening, the Russians attacked and destroyed a mall on the territory of the city of Kryvyi Rog, and these videos and these pictures were published during the previous 12 hours, and in this video we can see the consequences of attack. As we discussed during the previous videos, this is not the first facility, not the first mall that was attacked and destroyed by Russians on the territory of the city of Kryvyi Rog. As you can see, since the beginning of logistics war, the Russians attacked and destroyed at least 3 malls or warehouses in the city, probably even more, but in coming days when we will receive additional updates, we will adjust the map, we will add additional black colors. As for the city of Zaporizhzhia, the Russians were using bombs. This morning we start receiving reports that Zaporizhzhia came under a series of glide bomb strikes this morning. Fires broke out at the impact sites, and details on casualties and damages are still being clarified. So as you can see, the Russians during the previous 12 hours attacked the territory of Ukraine using all means of all types of weapons, all means they have, and as you can see, the Russians managed to deal significant damage, but as well as the Ukrainian side that attacked the Samara region, and at least a warehouse and an oil depot was also damaged by the armored forces of Ukraine. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the next days, we expect additional changes on the ground through the northern directions. This morning, several mappers and experts reported about additional progress on the ground in this area. According to different sources, the Russians are finishing the battle for the settlement of Ulanova, and these are the changes on the ground. The Russians continue fighting. Ukrainians control less than probably 10% of the settlement of Ulanova, which means that in coming week, the Russians most likely will finish the battle for the territory. Furthermore, the Russians continue advancing through the new front line that was opened by Russians between the Sumy direction and the Glukhov direction. During the previous 12 hours, small changes were also recorded around the settlement of Vovkova, and these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 21st of August, and this is the beginning of the 22nd of August of 2026. Furthermore, the Russians continue offensive through the northern Kharkiv direction. During the previous 12 hours, small changes were also recorded. The Russians, according to updates we received, are trying to establish complete control over the territory between 2 bridgeheads, between the Kazachia Lopan and Liptsi direction. We're talking about the villages of Bugaevka, Goptovka, Vysokaya Roga. In coming days, this territory most likely would be taken by the Russians under complete control. As for the settlement of Kazachia Lopan, according to different sources, the Russians managed to cross the river of Lopan, so this is the river of Lopan, and to answer the last stronghold of the armored forces of Ukraine that is located through the western parts of the settlement, so which means that the battle for the settlement of Kazachia Lopan enters its final and decisive phase, and most likely during the next 2 or 3 weeks the Russians would finish the battle for this territory, and the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation would announce this. As for the most northeastern parts of the Kharkiv region, during the previous 12 hours we haven't received anything special. Now let's talk about the Dobropillia direction. This morning, pro-Ukrainian sources published a video where we could see how the Ukrainians were attacking Russians through these fields. Based on this video, we have adjusted the map. These are the changes on the ground, small changes, as we can see, but the Russians continue offensive operation further in the northwestern direction, trying to outflank the settlement of Dobropillia from the south and from the southwest. And as we discussed during the previous videos, we expect that in coming days, or maybe even today, in coming hours, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation would confirm Russian control over the village by the name of Dobropillia. And that's it for the short video. The Military with Samara channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, show my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.